What we have here is a very good example of some plants steeping in oil that have begun to grow some mold. And this is something that we always have to be careful of when making an oil. When water, air, and the oil mix, sometimes mold can grow. And especially pops out of the top. Any plant material that's sticking up out of the oil, between then that little space of air between the oil and the lid, that's where the mold will most likely grow. So this is why we tend the oils regularly. Whenever you're making oil, you need to check it every few days. And in the beginning, when you first make it, you need to check it every day and tend it by getting air bubbles out, because again, it's the air, water, and oil mixing that will create a mold. So I spotted this while tending the medicine, checking it. It's been steeping for about 3 weeks, so it's about halfway there. And what can happen if you don't check it, the mold can spread and infect your entire oil, and then it's compost. So you see how the mold has grown on the spots that are sticking up, and just that little bit of space of air between the oil and the lid. That's where it likes to grow, and if you catch it quick, it's easy to remove, and hopefully you don't infect the rest of the medicine. So first you need to make sure that your hands are clean and very, very dry. And anything that you're going to use, I have some forks and scissors and a wooden spoon. Everything is clean and perfectly dry. You don't want to introduce more water into the medicine. And I have 3 forks here. That's what I'm going to use to dig out the pieces. And the reason I have 3 is because there's about 3 or 4 little spots. So once I remove a piece with the fork, I don't want to stick that fork back into the medicine and make more mold. I also have it in a bowl because oils tend to sploosh out of the sides and create a mess. So here we go. There's a piece of plantain. It's the culprit that I believe. Okay. Use the end of the fork here to flick this teeny little yarrow flower out. I use the other side. There's a calendula blossom with some mold. And we've got one more little teeny speck. There we go. And that looks like that's it. And I have the scissors in case you do large pieces of plant. I cut these up small, but if you use larger pieces of plant, you can lift them up and then just cut off the moldy part. But these were all small. So now I can see some air bubbles in there, and maybe you can see them rising up to the top, bubbling up. We want to get all the air bubbles out that we can. And we want to make sure that we don't compact the plant material, because that's a good way for air to get trapped. So I'm scraping the spoon handle down the side of the jar. And in the middle, I'm going to wiggle it around. I don't want to press the plants to the bottom, but make sure everything's loose so we can get all the air bubbles out. So we paused the video and I continued poking with the spoon for a few minutes, got most of the air bubbles out. And if you notice, now that all that air got out, the level of the oil has gone down maybe a quarter, half of an inch. So we're gonna, that's how much air was in there. And so we're gonna top off the oil again so that we decrease the amount of air space between the surface of the oil and the lid, and hopefully be mold free. So calendula sticking out, I'm gonna push that in. Okay, that looks good. Nothing is sticking out of the top. And I'm gonna put the lid back on and check it tomorrow.